What's up, guys? I'm Dwayne,
I'm Alicia,
and we are Blackboard Gaming, where we teach you about all these great board games that are out there.
waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't want a complication. Complication.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everybody.
How's everybody doing out there? So, today we're going to talk about another one of my nature-themed games that I have been anticipating playing with Alicia. And that game is called Cascadia.
Cascadia was designed by Randy Flynn and published by AEG and Flatout Games.
Let's go to the table for an overview of how this game is played. Cascadia is a tile placement token drafting game for 1 to 4 players where the players are building out and populating their own personal habitats in the Pacific Northwest. To set up the game, we will first take these wooden wildlife tokens and place them inside this cloth bag and give it a really good shuffle. Next, we will take the 85 habitat tiles and randomly select a number of them based on the number of players. So if we set up for a 2-player game, we would select 43. 3-player game, we would take 63. And in a 4-player game, we would take 83. And then we would return the rest of them back to the box. Once you've set up, so let's say we set up for a 2-player game, we would take those 42 habitat tiles, give them a good shuffle, and place them face down in any number of stacks in the middle of the play area. Next, we would randomly select 1 wildlife scoring card for each of the 5 wildlife that's represented in the game. You got your Chinook salmon, your red-tailed hawk, red fox, Roosevelt elk, and you got your grizzly bear. Each of the 5 wildlife has 4 cards, and they're lettered A, B, C, D, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. If this is your first game, they say use the cards that have the letter A in the bottom right-hand corner. And we will place this in the middle of the table where all players can see. Each player is going to randomly get one of these starter habitat tiles, and they're going to place that in front of them. Then we're going to draw 4 habitat tiles from the top of any deck and place them face up in the middle of the play area. Then we're going to reach in this bag and we're going to draw out 4 wildlife tokens and place them randomly underneath the habitat tiles. The last thing we would do is take these nature tokens, place them nearby in reach of all players. Then we would choose a starting player and play can begin. So what are you doing on your turn? You're simply choosing one of the face up habitat tiles to draft, and you also take the wildlife token that's paired with it, and you're going to immediately place it into your environment. Then you're going to replace the habitat tile and the wildlife token that was taken, and then play will go to the next player. And each player is going to get 20 turns in this game. So, like I said, let's say I choose to draft this one and take this wildlife token. So, when taking your habitat tile, you immediately place it into your environment, growing your environment out, and it has to be adjacent to your starter habitat tile or previously placed tile. So let's say I decide to do it like that, and that will be a good move for me, and I'm going to explain that in a little bit. Then you would take your wildlife token and you place it on a tile that allows that wildlife to exist. So right now I have this spot that allows the falcon, the salmon, and the elk to exist, but this one here allows this falcon to exist. So let's say I decide to place this here. Now notice there's this leaf and this arrow. These are known as keystone tiles. So whenever I put a wildlife token on one of those tiles, I get one of these nature tokens. And these nature tokens will score you 1 point at the end of the game, but they do a couple other things. So let's say on my next turn, this is the state of the board. We redraw, we put that there, right? And I don't like my wildlife token options. So I could turn this in, return it to the supply to wipe any number of the wildlife tokens, putting them off to the side. So let's say I take these and then I redraw from the bag. And once I redraw, I place those wildlife tokens back in the bag. Now, if ever, let's use this for an example. If ever when drawing wildlife tokens out of the bag, there are 4 of the same wildlife, that's known as overpopulation. And that, you immediately wipe those. You don't have to spend a token, and you redraw from the bag. So let's say I do that. Alright? Now, let's use this for an example. Let's say when I redrew, I drew 3 foxes. So now the active player has a choice. They can say, you know what, I don't want these foxes. And they can leave that elk there. And then they redraw from the bag. Now the other thing that these wildlife tokens, these nature tokens can be used for is, let's say I like that salmon, but I see this over here that I want. So I could turn this in and I could take this one and this one. Remember, they usually have to be paired up, but I decided to do this. So I decided to place this here, and I place the salmon here. And then we will replace. And like I said, play will go to the next player. So, how do you score points in this game? Well, there are 2 ways to score points. The first way you will score points in this game is shown on these wildlife scoring cards. And these scoring cards score points based on how you place that particular wildlife into your environment. So let's take a closer look. The grizzly bear scores for each number of pairs of bears. And so if you get a pair of bears, you can't have another bear around it. If you end up putting a third bear nearby, it will not score anything. And then at the end of the game, for each pair of bears, you will score points. Of the 4 pairs, you can get 27 points. The Roosevelt elk scores for each elk in a straight line. So it just has to have one side adjacent. So it don't have to be horizontal, it can be vertical, but they have to be in a straight line. And they can score you up to 13 points if you get 4 elk. The red fox scores, you score each fox for the number of unique adjacent animals, including the fox. So you can score, if you get a fox that got a salmon, a bear, an elk, another fox, and a hawk next to it, you can score up to 5 points. And that's for each fox. The hawk likes to be by itself. So for every solitary hawk that has no other hawks around it, you will score points. So if you end up at the end of the game, you got 3 hawks that are not next to any other hawks, you score to 8 points. And it goes all the way up to 26 if you get 8 of them. The salmon, Chinook salmon, scores per each run for each salmon. So each run cannot be adjacent. So you got this run of salmon for each salmon you have in that run. So let's say I have a run with 4 in it, and then I have a run with 2. I will get 12 points, and then I will get another 5, and that will be 17 points. The second way I would score points is by matching terrain types. I have to pay attention where I'm placing my tiles in my environment, because at the end of the game, I will score 1 point for each tile in my biggest terrain of that particular type. So for example, let's say this was the end of the game. What's my largest forest terrain type? So I would, of course, they will be here. So I will count up the tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would score me 8 points. If I looked at my largest river type, I got one up here. I got a small one, but I got this one here. So I would score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Also, out of all the players, if I have the largest forest terrain, then I will score bonus points. So in a 2-player game, I will score 2 extra points. Then there's, if there was a tie for the largest, then each player would get 1 point. If it's a 3 or 4-player game, then whoever had the largest terrain type, so if I had the largest forest terrain, I will get 3 points. And then second player, whoever had the second largest, will get 1 point. If there was a tie for largest, then those 2 players would get 2 points each, and then whoever had the second largest would get no points. So those are the 2 ways to score points in Cascadia. Now, the game ends when there are no longer habitat tiles to place out to be drafted. So each player is going to get 20 turns in this game, if I haven't already mentioned that. Now, once the game is over, we would take this really nice score sheet, which is really, really well done because it allows you to tally up your scores for your animals and then add that up, and then you score your habitats, and it gives you an extra space to add if you got the bonus. And then you add that up, and once you add both of those up, then you also get 1 point for each of your unused nature tokens. Once you add those 3 up, you get your final score, and whoever has the most points will be the winner of Cascadia. So I don't think we need to spend too much time on the theme of this game because, I love my nature theme games. Well, how did you feel about this?
Actually, I really like the theme too. The Pacific Northwest is a beautiful area. So I agree with you. I mean, what was there not to like about the theme?
Yeah, I mean, it's so I do have to say one thing about it. So the people that made this game are all residents of the Pacific Northwest, and you could see how passionate they are about where they live by how they depicted the behavior of the animals, how, the animal, they didn't just say bear, they said grizzly bear, they didn't just say salmon, they said Chinook salmon. So their passion for this game comes out in this theme.
Yes.
So, all right, what did you think about the components?
I really enjoyed the components. I think that they are well made, sturdy, and suitable for the game.
Yeah, she kept thinking that the tiles were wood. I'm like, no, they're really hard cardboard.
Yes, yes. And actually, when you think about it, there are not a lot of complex components, but they are high quality.
Yeah.
And well done.
Yeah, it really is a nice aesthetic to this game.
Yes, very good production.
All right, what did you think about the art?
Okay. This art is breathtaking.
Yeah.
The cover art, the art on the box is so picturesque, and Beth Sobel has captured the beauty and the color and the vibrant life of the Pacific Northwest.
Of the wildlife. Yeah,
Yes.
So Beth Sobel is a prolific illustrator in the board game community.
Yes.
I mean, she's done art for viticulture. She did calico. She done a lot of art. She even has her own deck of cards coming out, which is really nice. I kickstarted them. They were only 15. I just wanted to let you know.
So, but yes, the art in this game is phenomenal.
Yeah. So, What did you think about the mechanics?
I like the mechanics. It's basically tile drafting, tile laying, very entry level, easy mechanics. So I like them.
Yeah, it's really simple. On your turn, you draft a tile, you take that token that's paired with it, and you place it in your personal habitat, and that's really it.
Exactly.
All right. So I guess like, what did you think about? What do you think about the teach?
Okay. This game is easy to teach and easy to learn. And I think that it is like it's in the same class as Calico and the same level, but I think it's a little bit beginner friendly.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a little bit more relaxing.
Yes.
You know, I like the fact that it's so easy to set up.
It's so easy to
It's
set up.
so easy.
It is easy to set up.
I mean, I think the longest thing you do is you're shuffling the tiles.
Yes.
That's it. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's so easy to
Yes.
set up and less time to put away.
Yes.
You know, so like we have a thing in our household, you know, as we both have very busy schedules. So I said as a rule, we have to spend an hour a day together, whether we watching TV or just chilling on the couch or whatever. So this week, every time I came home, I was like, what are we going to do? She wanted to play this game. We ended up playing this game 3 nights in a row.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we really enjoyed it. It was just so relaxing, you know, just to shave the stress off our backs. So, overall, what did you think about this game?
Well, you pretty much summed it up. I really enjoyed this game. I love the theme. It's relaxing, and it really, I don't know, I just really like. So yes, it's a puzzly game, but it wasn't because I had options, because I had flexibility. It wasn't as it wasn't as nail biting as some other games.
So, you know, I almost, so I played this game once at my board game group. You know,
Yes.
my guy brought it.
Yeah.
And the first time we played it, I don't know. I was focusing on where to place the wildlife tokens, and it didn't click in my head that I had to pay attention to where I placed the tiles. So it had me feeling some kind of way, like it didn't gel with me at first. But then I kept thinking about it, and I was like, I know you would like this game. So that's why I ended up getting it, and we played it, and I realized that it's more in this game, like Calico, you're just doing one thing. You're placing that tile, and you're caring about the patterns and the colors. But in this game, your focus is split. And I had to figure that out the next play. Like, okay, I also got to pay attention to where I'm placing the tiles. But like you said, it was just a little bit more relaxing, you know?
Well, but the thing about Calico is you're restricted.
At the end.
Right,
Yeah.
especially at the end. You just have that space. But in Cascadia, even though you have to pay attention to both of those, you really are not restricted as far as where you place them as long as you follow the rules. And honestly, I just like developing that habitat. When I get it going, I'm like, yes. And so, like, the last game we played, it was like one of my last moves. And I had this one tile, it came up, I was like, yes. And I was debating, do I want to increase my salmon run, which means I would put it there, or do I want to keep my mountain region going? So even though that was a tension that I had to that makes the game interesting, it also gave me more options and makes it more enjoyable. So I love that. I love that tension in the game.
Yeah, this game is really really nice.
Yes.
I have to applaud you guys. You really did created a great game here. So, if you like the contents of our video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And like we said, Cascadia
Is a winner for us.
Yeah, this could probably be one of the favorites.
Yes.
I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
We are Blackboard Gaming.
And we will see you next time.